Welcome, everybody, to the Scobuff Sports post-game show. Trent Finnegan here with Harrison Simeon and Colby Wyatt after a Colorado 34-23 victory here late night at Folsom Field. Big game from the Buffs. Good. They played a solid 3 quarters, I thought. They kind of got a little complacent in the fourth quarter. Coach Prime said in the press conference post-game that he wasn't happy with how his team landed. Obviously, we're still waiting for them. They put together a full game against UCF, but a lot of these wins that they've had, they haven't put together 4 great quarters of football yet. But what were your guys' big takeaways from this game to start off?
Yeah, I mean, I take away that, Cincinnati's going to fight. They've been in every game that they've played, and we saw that, they eventually, pushed the Buffs back to one possession and had nearly like 3 footballs away from having great field position and a chance to.
I'd argue it was one football.
Yeah,
that Mata kick is what
it was
we're referring to.
Barely sneaking it over the crossbar, but I think the run game, one of my biggest takeaways, getting at it early and often. Auguste, most rushing yards by a running back in the Coach Prime era. So, really kudos to them, both Auguste and the offensive line putting together a really solid performance. And yeah, I think Shador was accurate, efficient, and that just about carried the Buffs to that victory.
Well, similar to what you said, but my big takeaway isn't just the run game or the passing game, but the balance that we showed and knowing when we should run and when we should pass and not just relying on either one too much. I thought it was a great balance.
Yeah, and then talking about Auguste, 96 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.1 yards per carry, just shy of his career high of 101 yards he had back last season in 2023. Here's what Coach Prime had to say about Auguste in the post-game press conference.
I'm not just going to say his success. I think the running game success, period. We got 3 to 4 capable backs that can do the doggone thing in that manner. So just running the football, period, takes a tremendous amount of pressure off the quarterback, off the line, and now we have a lot more balance, which I'm not going to say that wins games, but it sure does help the situation. It gives Pat more flexibility to call some things that he would normally call if we couldn't run the ball. But the line, they're taking initiative to, they getting sick of being talked about and saying that we can't run the football, and they did a phenomenal job tonight from the beginning to the end.
Coach Prime really loved what Isaiah Auguste brought to the table tonight, but that doesn't Dallin Hayden also had a good performance. He didn't get the ball as much, only 10 carries, but he had 36 yards. He was effective in the receiving game as well. He caught a couple checkdowns, broke a couple tackles. But that's solid, and like Colby brought up, running the ball more than they threw the ball tonight, kind of maybe hinting towards a new identity for this team. They also swapped offensive linemen. Their guards rotated from Kareem Harden, Khalil Benson, Justin Myers, Tyler Brown throughout the night, and they all credit to the depth that they have. But yeah, great rushing performance from the Buffs on the ground tonight. That's the second straight game where they have more rushing attempts than passing attempts. So, other side of the ball, Cincy's passing game, Colorado's defense really limited. Cincy had the one big play early in the game, that wheel route to Corey Kiner, that blown man coverage. But this Buffs defense did a great job at making Brendan Sorsby uncomfortable, and he was 16 for 30 with 180 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight.
Yeah, no, it wasn't his finest night, and while the Buffs only were able to sack him once, which I think sort of aided their pass game and how they were able to move the ball on CU, especially in the second half, it really didn't amount to much because of how porous they were on third downs. They weren't able to take advantage of those high leverage spots, and I think that's what cost them tonight.
Yeah, Cincy 3 of 10 on third down, while meanwhile Colorado was 7 of 13 on third down. Colby, what did you think of Colorado's pass defense, Cincy's passing game?
Well, really, you have to remember, first off, that Sorsby this season has been one of the top QBs in the nation. If you go by a lot of different numbers, he ranks about like 15th. And so to force him to have the game that he had, barely over 50% completion, it was a great defensive night for CU.
Yeah, and just to add to that point, Xavier Henderson, Cincinnati's leading receiver coming in tonight, just 1 catch for 11 yards. And then, for the Buffs, I mean, Preston Hodge really stood out to me.
He was the MVP of the defense tonight.
He stood out like a sore thumb. I mean, he, having to play in the slot is obviously tasked with a lot, and he's really come into his own in the Buffs secondary. Travis Hunter making plenty of plays as he usually does, but don't forget about Hodge. He came in from Liberty, and he's been a beast for the most part this season.
Well, as a defense, we have 8 total pass breakups. It's pretty good.
Not too bad. Four of those were from Travis Hunter, who had another Heisman performance.
Yep.
Tonight, 9 catches on 9 targets, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. And on the defensive side of the ball, he had those 4 pass deflections. Just an insane game. And it shows how important he is to this team when he's healthy. Like, people are like, oh, like, they lost Travis. And he had those 2 games where he got hurt 2 weeks ago. And then last week against Arizona, he didn't play the second half, didn't put up big numbers. Back to 100% tonight, and he put his name right back in the Heisman race.
Yeah, no, he looked 100%. He was playing through the whistle every down. He played, over 100 snaps again. I mean, that was what we saw out of him early this season, that we knew this was a Heisman level player, and he showed it tonight. He had 2 touchdowns, including on that last drive by the Buffs to put the game out of reach.
Yeah.
He had a huge catch, fighting through contact in a one-on-one situation, and the way the Buffs were able to even scheme him into those one-on-one spots, it really worked out. And he makes winning plays. I think that's the most important part. It's not just the numbers. It's not just the cool touchdown dances. It's the winning plays in the important spots, and that's what we saw once again.
Definitely. It's cool touchdowns, dances. I don't know if you guys saw him do the backflip into the Spider-Man emote. That was some crazy stuff. But post-game, Deion had a lot of praise for Travis as well. One thing we thought was important is Deion said about Jimmy Horn in the post-game. He said, Jimmy is the best young man you could ever fathom. He was so broken about what transpired. We're talking about the penalty, the taunting penalty. He said, we got together and let him know we love him, we appreciate, and not to do it again. We got to get him the ball more. And that's crazy because he had a fantastic game. He had 5 catches for 78 yards, and Deion knows, like, his legs are so dynamic. He's makes so many plays after the catch, breaking tackles, running around the corners. So that was a good performance from Jimmy Horn as well, not along with Travis Hunter. Another post-game comment Deion had was about the field goal, the game-winning field goal from Alejandro Mata. Let's see what Deion had to say about that one.
Considering the situation, it was huge. You feel me? Kind of secured the win, made sure that, they had no chance of coming back. And I'm apologizing because, it wasn't my best ball, and I'm well aware of it. 47, usually in practice, is, no problem for me. I'm hitting, made it to top of the uprights from 47, and it's just not me. You feel me? It just came off the foot wrong, and I want to apologize for that.
You saw Alejandro Mata kind of apologetic on that kick, saying he didn't get the best of it. But I don't know if you guys noticed, it was a good snap from Cameron Hawkins, the long snapper, and then the holder, Mark Vissett, just gave him straight laces, and he still was able to boot it straight, pretty clean, because kicking the laces, for those of you guys that don't know, it just totally changes how the ball flies off your foot because it's like that little ridge that sticks out instead of just kicking the smooth side. So that was pretty impressive by Mata to still get it through from 48 yards, getting straight laces on that kick. I don't know about you guys. I was a little nervous. 48 yards. Like Mata's great, and he's very accurate, but his leg is not the strongest in the country.
Yeah. No, go ahead first.
Well, and not only that, it was a good field goal. Barely still counts.
There's no pictures on the score sheet.
Exactly. But one thing else I want to talk about is Mata didn't throw anyone under the bus. He didn't talk about how he kicked the laces.
He could have easily thrown Vissett under the bus and said, "Oh, I got laces," but no, he said, "I want to apologize. I didn't kick it clean." So, yeah, and then one more quote from that post-game press conference coming from Coach Prime. He said, "We shouldn't have let that game get that close, but we got the dub. That's what counts." And we mentioned it earlier, not playing a full game. It's a tough spot when you're up 17 and you have all the momentum and your offense is humming. It's like, do you chew the clock or do you keep doing what you're doing? What are your guys' thoughts on kind of the mentality there when you're up that big, just trying to get the game over?
Yeah, it was interesting to me because there were even spots where usually we're like, oh, please run the ball here.
Yeah.
And then they ran it at a couple spots, and we were like, why are the Buffs running it here? And sometimes it ended up forcing punts, and the Buffs offense looked a little more conservative tonight. Picking their spots and when to go deep, but for the most part, a lot of swing passes, a lot of screens. So the conservative offense worked out, and with a defense like Cincinnati, we talked about how unusual their front is. That ended up doing a lot to open up things downfield.
Yeah.
But with the balance of the run and the pass, I'm honestly liking it. Overall, it's
liking
a complete net positive. I mean, back-to-back games of running the ball more than passing it is quite a nice trend to see.
It is a very nice trend. Colby, are you on Chew Clock side, or would you like to see him just continue to kind of air it out and keep the tempo up and not get extra conservative there down the stretch?
Man, I ask myself that question every single game. Part of me loves to see CU just going crazy, but of course you have to just kind of be smart sometimes and just take things slow. I would have liked to have seen CU try a little harder in the second half to just keep the ball instead of just running on so many third downs. I would have liked to see them try to keep the ball a little bit more. I'll say that.
And we talk about the balance. We haven't even talked about Shedeur Sanders yet, who only practiced once this week because he was dealing with the flu all week. He was 25 for 30, 323 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only took 1 sack in the first quarter, which was really bad. But he played phenomenal tonight, and a lot of people in the media, they're going to be talking about Travis Hunter. They're going to be talking about the run game. And I feel like it's kind of crazy. This was an elite performance from Shedeur Sanders that's going to go under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a quietly really strong season from Shedeur. I was looking for him to be mistake-free tonight. Besides that sack, which he took accountability for, he was. I mean, there weren't really any turnover-worthy passes where it's like, oh, he got away with one.
Yeah,
It was on time. It was on target almost every time. He had 15 straight completions to start the game, which is a program record. So I was really impressed.
And then we got to talk about the implications of tonight.
Yeah,
of course.
6-2.
Last but not least.
Yep.
Big 12 standings now. So now that kind of makes it – this game, we talked about it in the pregame show. This was kind of a play-in game almost. There are now – I'd like to say there are 4 teams left in the race. First place, tied, undefeated, BYU, Iowa State. Second place, tied at 4-1, Kansas State, Colorado. And Colorado, I don't want to say that they have an easy schedule in front of them, but the hard part of their schedule I feel like is out of the way, definitely, going down the stretch.
Well, I would say that they're definitely going to be the favorites in every game remaining. But something that's really important is, as great as it is that we're one of the 4 teams in the running for the championship, we are 4th. And so we don't control our own destiny. We still need every team ahead of us.
Yes.
Well, 2 out of the 3 teams ahead of us to lose.
And it feels like every time Kansas State was a nail-biter tonight, just snuck one out against Kansas. And then the 2 last week with BYU and Iowa State, those close ones. Colorado's going to need some help. Coach Prime said, don't rank us. We're good. Yeah. Talking about the performances and stuff. So.
Yeah, no, they hold a high standard. I think that's what I'm liking out of this season. Not every win is hallelujah. Not every loss is that the sky is falling. It's very even keel. It's very on to the next game.
Yeah.
Literally for today.
Literally.
On to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But for the program, this win means more than they would amount to.
And I thought it was nice too. So I thought it was nice that they didn't storm the field today.
Yeah.
It was so good. I was like, so for you guys watching at home, I don't know if ESPN showed this crowd, but the crowd definitely thinned out in the fourth quarter. People thought CU had it in the bag. It was late at night, and the crowd got thin. I was like, if we have like 30,000, 35,000 people here and we're still storming the field, I was like, what are we doing? So, but yeah, they're 6-2 now, and six is a magic number, bowl bound for the first time. I'm going to call it since 2016 because in 2020, if you won a single football game, you were bowl eligible, I feel like. So since that cursed 2016 Alamo Bowl where they lost 38-8, that was not good against Oklahoma State. They also, the 2021, they got killed in the Alamo Bowl again by Texas. So, but just getting to a bowl isn't the goal for this team, and Deion said that in the press conference.
Yeah, he made that really clear, and I'll let you go after me, Colby. But, you know, what he said really spoke volumes about their goals. I mean, we talked about their standing in the Big 12. It's on the table that they win out. And a
100%.
10-2 Colorado team, you know, that raises
Hold on,
sorts
stop.
of conversations.
Just like think of like 10-2 Colorado team. Like just say like obviously we're not like trying to predict anything.
We're not trying to get ahead of
just
ourselves.
just saying that is like just that being a possibility is like holy cow.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going. I didn't want to.
We've said it a multitude of times. You know, the bowl game was for Peggy.
For Peggy.
But Peggy's got taste. So, you know, looking to see if we can get, you know, the Buffs can get a New Year's Bowl, you know, one of those fancy ones. Well, it's going to be really fascinating. We were just talking about before recording the possibilities at stake. But, you know, overall, you know, an amazing night for the program.
Yeah, Deion doesn't want to go to Shreveport, Louisiana. We know that. He wants to pull out the fine china and put it around the dinner table. So, but Deion wasn't the only one talking about bowl eligibility in the post-game press conference. Shador had some words to say as well about becoming bowl eligible.
It's big. It's big for us because it's big for the fans. Us, we don't look at any game as we look at every game that we play as a possible win. You know, so we don't go into the season or looking at the schedule like, oh, we're only gonna win 6 games. You know, like that's not what happens. So the fact that we do it, it just that we did it just trust our process that we're using. And we're not even hitting our peak nowhere close. We still got a lot of things we got to clean up. We still got a lot of things offensively we got to excel more at. So it's just a great thing. It's just a great badge of honor for now. And
really, that was just one of Shador's great answers from his press conference. One of my favorite things he said was that the bowl game really matters, or being bowl eligible, I should say, matters to the team because it matters to the fans. It shows how they really play for the fans. And it doubles down on what his dad said, that this isn't the goal. 6 wins is not the goal, and they're taking it game by game and just riding it as far as they can.
Yeah, now we're going to look ahead. Shador was asked in that press conference what the goal of the bye week is, and he interrupted the reporter who asked it and just said, get healthy. So he takes a lot of hits. He's banged up. But, yeah, bye week coming up, and then they go at Lubbock against Texas Tech November 9th, and then they come home against Utah, and then they go on the road to Kansas, and then they come home against Oklahoma State. So, like we said earlier, like it's not the hardest part of their schedule, but it's not a part of their schedule they can sleepwalk through. But having 2 weeks to prepare for this Texas Tech team, which if you guys watch them, like they aren't the most disciplined team CU's going to face this year.
Yeah, no, they have plenty of weaknesses defensively, especially, but they have an incredible offensive attack, and it's going to be interesting to see how they can defend the run because, you know, we've seen all season the Buffs, you know, they've got the run down more than last year, but it still can be an issue. So with you know, going on the road to Lubbock, they've obviously looked really well, really good on the road besides that Nebraska game, which has kind of been the exception of this season so far, you know, in terms of their results. You know, the run defense is going to be something I'm looking to see how it can evolve towards the end of the season because ultimately a lot of the teams coming down the pike are run first and are teams that Colorado can struggle with at times. So, you know, if they can control their own destiny and look to win out, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to come down to the run.
Definitely.
Well, that and you have to remember Texas Tech is on a little bit of a cold streak right now. Losing today and losing last week, that could play into the matchup.
Definitely. So, anything else you guys want to add tonight?
I did love the uniforms. I know I talked about it pregame.
There was a lot of mixed opinions. A lot of people, like, it was a love or it was a hate. There was no, like, oh, they're cool. Like, it was just a love and a hate. It was interesting. But
I guess it could have gone better with the blackout.
I liked it better with the black helmet last year against Arizona, and it would have worked better with the theme. We've learned that whatever the theme is in the crowd, the uniforms just never match.
Oh, never, no.
Just never match it. But I thought that they were cool. People hate the grays. It's a cool alternate. Like, they're getting fun. It's better than wearing just the same gold, black, gold every night. So,
hey, people forget that our original 2 colors silver and gold, not black.
Maybe they'll break out the blues, the 1970 blues.
UCLA fits.
If you guys haven't seen the 1970s, those blue uniforms when they wanted to change things up because the program was so bad, be warned, but go look them up because it's very interesting. So, but yeah, it is 1:47 in the morning. We're wrapping up from Folsom Field here. Again, for Skull Buff Sports, Trent Finnegan, Harrison Simeon, Colby Wyatt. We thank you guys for joining us for the pregame show tonight and then this postgame show as well. And we'll see you guys for the Utah game.
And you heard it here first.